to us what libertarian is.
I hear that all the time. Let me tell you what libertarian is. Libertarian is someone who says you can be as liberal or as conservative as you want to be. Just don't force others to be like you.
Got it.
That's what we are all about. We are all about long-term solutions, not short-term solutions. We're all about changing culture, not just changing law. Law, we have to remember something. At the end of almost every single law is a guy or a gal with a gun who will put you in a cage. And if you don't want to go in that cage, he or she is going to kill you. That means you only use law when it really matters, not just because I'm angry, not just because I don't like you, not because you should do some activity I think you shouldn't do or whatever the case may be. It's only for important things like life and liberty and property and things like that. That's when you use violence. That's when you use force. That's what libertarians are all about. Welcome to Libertarians Drinking Coffee Live. Yes, it's nighttime edition. Are we still drinking coffee? I am, because I'm addicted.
We are.
So, yes, indeed we are. We're still, the brand is strong. Even at night, it doesn't matter. And this is a special edition because we're talking about something about the Libertarian Party National Party, the LNC, or the Libertarian National Committee. And I have someone here who is running for the Region 8 rep. I have no idea why you would do such a crazy thing. However, he is. I was on the LNC years ago, and it was just disaster, and I'm glad I'm not there anymore. But some people want to go back. I don't know why, but hey, you know what? People do crazy things. I have with me the man, the myth, the legend himself. It is indeed Tucker Coburn. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Pretty darn good. How about you?
I'm great. Drinking coffee at 7 o'clock at night. Life is good.
Yeah, I found my I don't know if you can see it, but it's the Sharpe Hollister mug. I think I got a drink further down so we can see it. But
oh, nice. I like it. Yes,
pulled it out of the cupboard.
Exist.
They do.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I bet I could get some money for it.
One of these days. Hey, Sharpe Hollister might happen again. You never know. All I'm saying, it might happen again.
It doesn't have a year on it, so we could just keep reusing it.
I got a ton of shirts. I'm just saying. Yes, a ton of shirts. Yeah, I know you guys see me wearing my Sharpe for Governor shirt all the time. It's not the same shirt. I just got a ton of them. So, yes. So, absolutely. So, look, if you care about Region 8 LNC, then like, comment, and share, and ask your questions right through the chats. Chat on Facebook, chat on YouTube, or chat on Periscope/Twitter. Go ahead, and I will bug this man and bug him about what you want me to bug him about. That's what I do, absolutely. And some people are happy. I like that. They already like you already. I love it. Absolutely. So you've already got some fans, Tucker. Isn't that great?
Woo!
Yes, but I have to ask the question. I mean, you've done, since I've known you, you've done a lot in the LP. Most of it, when I first met you, was local. And then you've moved around from New York City to the state, and now you've moved more national. I'm just kind of curious. Of all the stuff you've done, a lot of it's been on campaigns, some of it on different issues, usually I've worked with, putting events together. Why do you want to run for LNC to be the Region 8 rep, and why now?
Sure. Beyond going into issues, first I just want to touch on someone who's very passionate and has a lot of energy to bring to the project, and that's something that I bring to anything I do in the party. I think it's also important that we have someone with a background in campaigns. We as a party need to start winning elections. Otherwise, we will cease to exist as a party. There's no reason to have a Libertarian Party if we're not going to have candidates win elections. So that's my main focus. That's what I want to bring to the table and make sure that we always think about how we can help our candidates win elections.
But isn't there a part of the party, right? And I bring this up often. The party was not built when it was built. It wasn't built to win elections. I'm not trying to be a nudge. I'm just being forward. When the party first came about, it was built really as an activist organization. And we still have a lot of that in us, right? We have a lot of that in us culturally that hasn't gone away. And I think you find that many times people in the party don't actually want politicians, don't actually want people to win. What they want are good activists, right? And they want to use the bully pulpit of running for office not to actually win an election, but instead to get an issue out or to get a concern out or to get, something like that out.
Well, I mean, to a degree that can be important. Like when you ran for governor, we had regulate marijuana like onions. That was something that caught on in the state. So without really doing that well electorally, we were still able to make a difference. But
Mhm.
if we're not running serious campaigns, then no one's going to listen to us regardless. We
Got
can
it.
run issue advocacy, and that's certainly important as well. But as a political party, it's our job to run candidates and try to win elections.
Do you think that the issue advocacy piece, do you think that's separate from the party completely? Do you think that's an arm of the party? Do you think they're completely connected? Where do you see the issue advocacy piece of the movement, if that makes sense?
I think right now, out of necessity, it is in the party,
Mhm.
but it's not my ideal situation. I would
Okay.
rather have an issue advocacy group that works outside of the Libertarian Party with many of the same individuals, but is expressly focused on issues. Like, for example, in New York, when we went through the whole corporation phase, there was
Yep.
the thought that we might turn it into an issue advocacy group. And what we found was that we just don't have the manpower to do that and to be able to
Yes.
do both effectively. So right now it's in the party out of necessity, but in the long term, we really do need to have a issue advocacy group that focuses on libertarian issues nationally and in New York.
I find that constantly, right? But you'll hear me complain about we don't have enough talent, right? We need more talent,
Well,
right?
we
So
got
that
to
we can.
develop it. So I like campaigns like yours and so many other campaigns. I mean, it's about developing our talent and moving
Yes.
forward.
Yes. One of the reasons why I think so many people donated to the campaign was they saw that we were building a team, right? We were building out people, training, trying to get people to get moving, getting better and better and better so they could learn from our mistakes. Absolutely. I love the idea. In my perfect world, I agree. I think you'd have separate groups. Absolutely. So look, there's a million issues. We could sit here and talk for 6 hours on issues. I'm sure we could, but most people wouldn't want to stay long. Some would. We've got some diehards who would actually stay here for the 6 hours, but I don't want to punish them all. So give me like your top 1, 2, or 3 issues that you think are critical that either, and either way you want to do it, specific to Region 8 or the whole national, whatever's important to you.
Are we talking about the issues facing the LNC or like issues policy wise?
What you want to tackle, right? Because if you're a Region 8 rep, you're going to go up there, represent us. And some people, when they represent, they literally just do something very simple. They just kind of poll the states and they just kind of do what the states ask them to do. And that's a valid way of representing a region. And some don't. Some say, no, let me get up and do things. You have issues, tell me, but I'm going to push things that I want and I'm going to campaign on things that I think are important. And that's why I'm pushing them. Or some do a combination of both. So
Yeah,
I'm
so
going to
I mean,
ask you, what do you think you're going to do when you get there?
Yeah, the main issue that the LNC faces, and I mean, literally anyone watching it either on the email list or on Facebook or wherever you're watching it, is that the body is extremely contentious. And everyone's just at each other's throats all the time.
Yep.
So my main goal running for this position is increasing and improving our communication. And I see that on 3 levels. The first one is on the LNC, as we just talked about, making sure that when you engage with someone, that communication is going to be productive towards producing more unity within the body, that you're not snapping at someone, that you're not, and I have been guilty of doing that before, mostly a few years ago when I was like a little bit younger, a little bit more like not thinking about exactly how my comments would go across. But it's really important to realize that, especially online, people are reading your comments without any other backing information or any without knowing what your emotions are.
So hold on. When you say unity in the body, are you thinking unity on the LNC? Are you thinking unity as delegates, as the party, all three? How do you divvy that up?
Maybe unity is the wrong word. I would say maybe mutual respect. So, we're never going to be unified on every issue, and I wouldn't want that. That's a one-party system. That's no. But I want folks on the LNC to respect each other. I don't want them to be attacking each other, and I would never do that if I was elected as the regional rep. So then on the second communication issue, which I think is actually more pressing for the region, is that a lot of information just isn't making it down to the regional, the local people in the area. So like, for example, when they struck the convention compromise, that information didn't make it down to people in the States for days. It just wasn't transferring properly. And I think that that's a place where the regional rep can step in and make sure that folks are aware of what's going on.
Got it. Well, I guess my other worry is, do the local people, and this is an open question, do they care? Right? Like, do they really want to know, or are they more concerned about, you know, my local guy or gal winning that local election? I don't know. What's your thought? What are your
I
thoughts
mean,
there?
it's perfectly fine if they want that, and we should definitely be supporting them, which we'll get to my third communication point in a second. But no, I mean, they are seeking out the information and not getting it. When I was on the New Jersey Libertarian Party board call, I believe it was probably about a month ago now, and we had just had the LNC online meeting the day before, and so they were talking about the convention, and literally no one knew what was going on. Like
Got it.
Dan Kraus, the New Jersey chair, did not have full information to be able to give to his delegates and to give to people on the meeting. So that's a problem. If people are seeking out the information, it should not be difficult to get it. It should not be difficult to decipher what's going on.
Okay. So was that 3?
No. So the third one is from state to state. So
okay.
I mean, in Region 8, I would like to see a region that acts more as a region instead of. I know that we're all individualists, or many of us are individualists, and we want our state to stay as our state. But
yeah,
we
but
have
New
a
York
huge
is
opportunity.
cooler than Jersey. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but other states in the region have
other
states in the region have candidates that could actually win. So
that's true.
I mean, so we have. I want to focus on, and not to say that I'm not going to pay attention to New York or New Jersey, but Rhode Island, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. Those states all have very large state lower houses for their population. Those races, they don't spend anywhere near as much money as New York or New Jersey. I mean, I'm talking to a candidate right now for a state lower house in New York rather, and our ballpark is if we want to win, we would have to raise $200,000. That's not a thing in other states. There's not many other states where you have to spend $200,000 to get into your state lower house.
Right.
So there are opportunities where we can move our resources in Region 8 to other states with candidates that could win and still provide a boost within our state.
Got it. Yeah. What I hear constantly is we want to start having some more, what's the word I want to, more wins that people know about, right? Like that people go, oh my God, that's a win. Oh my God. It gives other people hope. It makes them want to get on board. It makes them want to be advocates. It makes them want to be activists. It makes all those things. I really think that those types of wins can work tremendously. So you're saying that, so how does national, right? I heard what you're saying with local, but how does national help some guy or some gal in Maine or New Hampshire? How does national make that help at all?
Sure. I mean, okay, so 2 ways. First, actually 3 ways. First one, as region rep, if I see a promising candidate in Rhode Island or Maine, I'm going to make sure that I tell people in New York and New Jersey about it. Can you give some time? Can you give some money to this candidate that has a wonderful opportunity to advance liberty in their state? So that's the first bit. The second part is that LP National, I know some people don't agree with this, but this would be a issue that I would make sure to focus on, is creating tools for our candidates to be able to have a more level playing field with the Republicans and Democrats. So one thing that LP National is doing right now is that they have their eCanvasser program where they struck a deal with eCanvasser, which is a canvassing software from Europe, and they're trying to enter the US market. The Democrats and Republicans have proprietary software they already use, so they can't break in that way. So they struck a deal with our party to try to break into the market for independents. And that is a amazing help to candidates if they actually know about it and can use it. When I was running your field operation, we cobbled together like a mess of we used Polis for field, and then we used Andrew Hollister's own phone system for phone banking, and then we had some back-end database that didn't really work, and we glued it together and prayed. And I mean, that was what we did. And that's what libertarian candidates do all the time. But LP National is enabling candidates to have access to very high quality tools that will help them compete with the main parties without having to put that much effort into just making the system run. So it's programs like that where LP National is able to leverage its size and be able to make deals to get better tools for our candidates that is really promising.
So tools, so things like that. How about, I hear all the time, training. I hear that. Is that something LP should be doing, nationally doing, or no?
Yeah, I think that they should. I mean, we have, as you were saying earlier, we don't have that many people in the LP that are knowledgeable. We need to train our folks to be able to run better campaigns. But we do have some folks in the country that are very knowledgeable in select areas. So when LP National does like a seminar or something like that, I want to see attendance higher for those sorts of events, and I want to make sure that people in Region 8 are aware of it. We have Apollo out in the Frontier Project. He's certainly one of the most knowledgeable people in terms of campaigns in the Libertarian Party, and we're not actively engaging him to bring that knowledge into Region 8. We have folks in New Jersey and Russ from our campaign who do really good data and precinct analysis, and we're not bringing that into Region 8 either. So there are opportunities for people to learn. I would never fight against sharing knowledge within the Libertarian Party.
What if it's bad knowledge, though?
Well,
right?
I mean,
what if it's knowledge that, and this is a tough question I get all the time, and I bring this up, and it's going to sound horrible, because of the VA, and it's going to sound weird where I'm going with this. I used to, when I was first trying to help out veterans, I went to the VA. I thought, I'll go to the VA, I'll offer my training services free to help vets who are coming back. That was my goal. This is probably, I don't know, 2006, 2007, maybe in that area, and I went there. And when I found the VA is, the information that they wanted to train was garbage information. It was literally hurtful. It wasn't helping, right? Which is why you see veterans still not doing well, right? At least they used to. I'm not sure how bad it is now. I know it's still bad, but I haven't been as much of an advocate recently. So I literally said, you know what? No, I stopped working with the VA, and I only pick select nonprofits like Yellow Ribbon Fund and others like that. I picked Jericho Project. I picked some of the smaller ones that I thought were actually going to respect what I was trying to show and wouldn't micromanage me and would let me give real information. So do we have enough talented teachers, I guess is the question. Or are we just going to be like, let's do stuff that we did from 1995? That I guess is my worry.
I mean, I would hope that the Libertarian Party would be able to function more responsibly than the bureaucracy that is the VA. We can be like one of those nonprofits that you went to, and you know that are giving you good information, are giving you a good platform. We have the ability to do that, and if we can't do that as a party, then obviously we're going to hurt from it. I mean, it's a risk that we have to take, but it's definitely necessary if we want to be able to develop ourselves as a party.
Okay, so let me go to the hard part. You talked about the idea of us being contentious, right? That's clearly true, right? It was contentious when I was there, but not as bad as now. Now it is like ready to kill each other. So really tough. Do you have a view on what happened at the first part of our convention this year? And when you're done with that, I'm going to ask you, what do you think about the second part? So
sure.
First part, what do you think? Do you have an opinion either way?
Yeah, I think in general, it went better than I expected it to.
Okay.
Which is encouraging, but also I expected it to kind of be a nightmare. So I think I prepared for the worst and I got something a little bit better, which is nice. I actually worked with some folks a little bit in terms of putting everything together. I contributed where I could, but I'm not a very technical person, so I wasn't able to contribute as much as I would have liked. There were certain areas where I think we could have really improved. In terms of like the Q&A situation, making sure that points of order were recognized in a timely fashion. Originally, what we had planned for that was to have one or a few parliamentarians sitting and watching that and making sure that as those comments and questions came in real time, they were able to be addressed in real time as well. So a parliamentarian might interrupt the chair and say, we have a point of order, or jump in right after someone stops speaking. But we didn't end up doing that. I think it ended up being a lack of personnel and a lack of resources.
Wait a minute, lack of talent? We've heard that before, haven't we?
Yes, we have.
Yes.
So, I mean, in my perfect scenario, if we decide to do something hybrid-y for Orlando, I would like for us to hire people to do that, because I think it's so important, because otherwise people feel like they're getting railroaded, and that's certainly not something that you want in a convention. I mean, at that point, it's very difficult to call it a convention. So I think that there were problems in terms of the question and answer in particular, but the biggest problem I had was with the adjournment process. I think that we really hurt ourselves by, I mean, the whole situation was, I think anyone watching it was just like, oh, this sort of thing again. Like, libertarians, here we go.
It was almost like, oh, here they are. Well, now,
Yeah.
now this is what we thought was going to happen. Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. I think that once Nick turned over the gavel, I love Alex. He's a great guy, but I just don't think he was fully prepared for what was coming.
No, I don't think Alex was, and it wasn't his fault. Alex is amazing.
No, it
I
was
love
not.
him. He just
Yeah.
he was thrown just something that I don't think anybody really could have done well with.
Yeah, no, and so I don't agree with the way that we adjourned, mainly because I think everyone wanted to get the hell out of there.
Yep.
And so anyone who's saying, well, 75% of people wanted my plan, no, 75% of people wanted to get the heck out of that meeting.
Yes.
I think that any motion to adjourn at that point would have passed. So the way that we adjourned, it makes it very difficult it makes it difficult to compel the COC to look into hybrid options for Orlando. And I think that that's going to end up causing more contention and more divisiveness than if we had closed in a way that left the door a little bit more open.
Yeah. To be forward, after the VP nod, I actually left. I went shopping. I didn't pay attention. So I only heard how bad it was.
Yeah, because I was on the phone with you. And then someone was like, "Oh, you got to come watch this," and I was like, "What is going on?" And I come back and like Nick's gone, and I was like,
I was on the phone with you because I drove my wife to the store, so I was sitting in the parking lot. I was like, "Okay, that stuff's happening." It is.
Yeah.
So yes,
I came back and it was literally Alex chairing the meeting, and I was like, "Huh."
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. The worry that I have is that almost no matter what we do, a group of people, not one or two, but a large chunk is going to feel disenfranchised. This is my biggest concern, because even if they're not actually disenfranchised, meaning they get exactly what they were looking for anyway, let's assume, 3 or 4 people don't get to vote and they get what they want. It isn't good enough, right? They needed to be part of it. They shouldn't have been disenfranchised. And that's a problem. That's, I guess, one of my biggest worries is if a political party doesn't feel, the members of the party don't feel like they're part of it, I mean, that hurts us tremendously. How am I going to get them to jump behind someone's campaign? How am I going to get them to, be an activist when I need them to be out, waving signs? They're going to be like, no, it's part of disenfranchisement.
Yeah, I think that it'll be more difficult to solve that for the in-person sitting of the convention. But I think a reason that wasn't as prominent, obviously it's very contentious right now about the second sitting. But I feel like people were able to come together a little bit more than they usually do because of the presidential ticket we picked.
Yeah.
Because you have Jorgensen and then you have Cohen, who's completely from a different part of the party. And it wasn't the pragmatist kind of like pushing through a candidate or through a ticket rather. And there's actually an opportunity for most people in the party to be happy about something in the ticket. So I think that that's certainly promising. And I was encouraged by most people rallying behind our candidate instead of immediately attacking them. So it was at least a little bit of a good note. Well, I mean, it was attacking.
We are libertarians, and no one is a real libertarian except for the guy saying what other libertarian you're not. I mean, that person.
But I think that there's more opportunity for folks to be happy with something in the ticket. If they want to be upset, if they want to vent frustration, it's going to happen.
Yes,
it's going to happen. I mean, it's human nature. It's not solely the Libertarian Party that does this, although we do very well with it.
We're very good at it. We are very good at it. Yes, we are.
But I mean, ultimately, there is something for everyone, most people at least, to be happy about in that ticket.
So what should we be doing, in your view, for the convention coming up here? Should this be a hybrid model? Should this be an online convention? Should this be an in-person convention? Does it matter? What do you think?
I think it should be a hybrid convention. The way that my position is that it should be a hybrid convention and that you should have the choice whether you want to participate online or if you want to participate in person. I think that
Doesn't that encourage, though, right? This is my worry, right? This is my worry. If we do the hybrid, doesn't that then say, well, why bother spending the money to fly down to insert place here? Why bother doing that? I'll just go online. I'll sit home in my PJs and sip my coffee and I'll be at the convention. Isn't that going to cut it down?
It probably will, but as a party, we need to combat that. If we want to throw a convention where people actually want to be there, I don't want to be holding their vote over their head saying, no, you have to come to this convention that we're putting on so that you can vote. I want people to want to come to the convention.
But hasn't that been, and I'm playing devil's advocate here, hasn't that been what we've been for the past literally 40 years, 50 years? Haven't we been those who show up decide? That's how we've been. Show up. If you don't show up, you can't decide. Isn't that our culture for the past 40
sure, but
years?
maybe that's something that needs to change a little bit.
Okay.
Culture can change. You're still showing up on an online meeting. You're just not getting to participate in the festivities and all the things that make a convention fun. You're literally sitting in front of your computer torturing yourself. But if you choose that you want to do that, be my guest. If the Libertarian Party is unable to make a convention that's compelling enough to travel instead of literally sitting in front of your computer, then we're doing something wrong.
Okay. So what about the other idea that to do that, right, for us to make that cool convention, as you're talking about, right, we're going to have to spend money. Yes, right? Got to spend money to make that cool convention. Got to do that, right? Might have to pay some speakers, all those types of things. Pay for audio, visual, fireworks, whatever's the cool thing of the day. If we do that, and then half of the people stay home, we're going to take a bath financially. Is that an issue?
Potentially it is. But I mean, if we are, again, if we're not creating a compelling enough product, then we shouldn't be putting that product on the market. Okay. I mean, it just comes down to that. If we cannot put together a convention that we can financially justify, then maybe we should have the whole thing online again. There's a reason that these things exist. It's because in-person fundraising, at least for now, is so much more effective than online fundraising. And so that's why the convention exists for the Libertarian Party.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I mean, I've seen it more than once.
And media and all that stuff. But
absolutely.
All the good
Look,
stuff.
I mean, but maybe that's the answer. I mean, maybe online conventions are the thing. But the only word then is, do states and regions now follow, right? Do states go, why bother having a convention? I'll just do it online. And does that become the norm? And is it okay?
I don't think so. I think that conventions are compelling enough to be able to meet face-to-face with libertarians and make sure that, you know, we maintain that atmosphere of friendliness. Because, I mean, we're so contentious online. But every time, like, for example, in New York, we are very contentious. And but every time we get together in person, it's wonderful. I mean, I will literally sit and have a drink with people that I've been arguing with for months on Facebook, I don't really argue on Facebook, but in email chains and that sort of thing. And sit down and have a friendly conversation with them. So there is that kind of that cordiality that you get in person that you just can't replicate with an online convention. And even that on its own, I think, is partially a selling point for an in-person meeting.
Okay. So what do you think is the first step? Let's assume for a moment that you win. You're now the Region 8 rep. You know, what's the first 100 days? Is that how we do Region rep? What the first day one, right? What do we do? What's the first steps you start doing?
Yeah. Well, it does depend a little bit. If I'm elected Region rep, my first thing will be talking to my alternate. So, I mean, in Region 8, what we're doing is we have 48 hours right now to vote for the rep. And then after that, we have 48 hours to vote for the alternate. My preference for the alternate race, should I win rep, is actually Shade. She worked on your campaign as well. I think that her and I work really well together. So if we can work as a team.
I gave her a hug the last time I saw.
Yeah, I mean, that was at the Pennsylvania.
Right? Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, if whoever it is, if it's Ashley, I think that I can jump right into it. But if it's someone I'm not as familiar with, I want to make sure that I'm comfortable with my alternate before I go off and make any decisions or we do anything. I want to make sure that we're in sync and that we have had a frank conversation about where we want the region to go. And then after that, it's going to be connecting with state chairs more than I have already, making sure that we're all on the same page. And then again, my first issue is going to be tackling communication issues within the region. So I want to talk with the state chairs, talk with the alternate about a way to address that. There are certain ideas that I've kind of been kicking around in my brain, but I don't really know what will work best without having that conversation with the state chairs and with the alternate.
So how does someone like you then, right? You're one of 17, is that right, on the LNC?
Yeah.
17. You're one of 17. How are you going to make changes? Oh, did I count wrong? I thought it's 17. Isn't it 17?
No, I think it is 17. It's Yeah, 17.
Yeah, one of 17.
Including the chair, yeah.
Right. So you're one of 17. How does one guy of 17 go up against the monster that is the LNC?
I mean, I think if you're thinking about it as going up against something, then you're doing something wrong. I don't want to fight everyone on the LNC.
So that was my problem. All right, thank you.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, great.
I mean, I know, but I'm not going up against anyone. I'm there to work with them. So I think that I do need to foster better relationships with people that are sitting on the LNC already, but that's just going to take some time and conversations and understanding where people are coming from. And I'm certainly not going to attack anyone on the LNC. I don't want to contribute to that.
Okay. So let me go to a more, if you don't want to answer, it's okay, but it's a tougher question. Do you have a view on the next LNC chair? Do you have a view on a chair race at all?
Oh, this is an easy answer for me, actually, because I'm Joe Bishop Henchman's field director.
Oh, easy day for you.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I think that he aligns most with what my goals are, which is better communication and making sure that we focus on winning campaigns.
I like that. Yeah. I remember when I spoke to JBH, he said to me, Larry, what do you want? Flash, or do you want like getting things done? And I said, I want both. I'm greedy. I want them both. I can't seem to get both. I want some flash and I want to get stuff done. I want it all. I'm greedy. He's like, okay. I've already said that.
So we got to make him more flashy. All right, I'll write that down.
We got to make him more flashy. So you're his guy. Make him more flashy. Maybe get him a cool suit or something with like really like wide lapels or something. Like with
maybe some like sequins coming down.
Oh, I love that idea. Yes, let's do that. See?
Perfect.
That's why I endorsed you.
Joe is going to kill me. Ethan's going to love me. It'll be great.
Exactly. Perfect. I love that. So good. So that was easy that you want that. Do you care about the vice chair race?
I'm not as married on that one. I honestly haven't made up my mind yet. I'm leaning towards Richard. But I've worked with Ken Moore, and I respect a lot of the things that he does and the technical background he brings. So I haven't made up my mind yet.
If you're looking at the goal now, let's not go goals for the LNC itself, right? For the LP itself, right? We talk about you and how you don't go up against but deal with, and what your LNC chair is. But what about the LNC and of the party itself? You're going to have 2 years. If it's 2 years from now, what has to be true for you to say you're winning or you won? Right? How do you know that you're winning or that you won? What in your mind has to be true? Like what data points have to have changed or adjusted or shifted, or what thing has had to have happened or not happened, or any of those things?
Sure. My goal for 2022 is to elect, and this is a small number, I know, but also a very large number for our party, is to elect 10 Libertarian state house candidates, whether that's upper or lower house. That's my goal for the party. I think that the only way we move forward is by starting getting people elected in state house. That's how we can move up to running competitive campaigns for Congress. And I don't see much progress being made on that front, except for with the Frontier Project. But it's something that we need to be able to do in any state. Exactly. I mean, I want to elect at least 2 candidates in 2022 to state house in our region. And so that's my low ball. 2, I think we can do it, but who knows? I think that more of our wins will come from other places in the country. But if we want our region to grow, we want New York and other states to be able to say, hey, here's my libertarian in my state. Look at this person who was elected as a libertarian. We need to win. We can't be people switching to our party all the time.
Yeah, I'm not against the people who switch. I agree with you, but I do think we've got to win as libertarians. I completely agree. So you think that if we can get 2 people into the state house in, whether 8 states in our region, is that right?
Yep.
8 states. So in the 8 states in our region, if we can get 2 people, like so 1 in every fourth state, that's not much at all.
No, it's not. I mean, I would love for it to be more, but I also want to be realistic about where we are as a region right now. Our infrastructure is not that great. It's a building block, and I think that it's something that we can actually do. I don't want to make a goal that's like 15 or 20,
right,
and then get 2 and be like, oh man.
Yeah. Well, the other thing the issue that I worry about now is the money. Right now, because of COVID, money's going to be tight for most libertarians this year and next. We've got to hope that by 2022, the money's back and people are prepared to write those checks and to swipe those credit cards and to start giving people more money so that we can get the things we need. The only hope I think we have is, if you remember from our campaign, of the 4 regions or areas that we work on to win: social media, traditional media, events, and then polling/debates. The only one we won was social media. We lost everything else, right? The only thing we won was social media. So I guess if it becomes stronger, if social media becomes more of a presence, maybe we got a shot. Maybe this is something that we can actually make some impact on.
Yeah, I'll be interested to take some insights from other campaigns that are going on this year. I know that they're doing some testing right now in the Frontier Project to figure out better ways to run campaigns during this coronavirus era, and taking those insights and figuring out how we can best run campaigns. But I mean, a lot of it's still going to come down to traditional field work. It just won't be canvassing and door to door. You still need to make phone calls. And we need to figure out how to get those phone calls through to people, because most people right now aren't picking up their phones because it's all spam calls.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's certainly a puzzle. It's interesting, but I don't think as a party we can fully fall back on social media, because we do that a lot and it doesn't end up getting out to the general voters as much as outside of our little libertarian sphere.
I know. So let me take a question if I could. Rory asked, do either of you feel the party has moved left or right in the past few years? Do you have a view?
I think that we've moved more like open. I'm fairly new to the party. I only joined when Gary Johnson was running, but that's more of a product of my age than anything else. But when I joined, it was a little bit more closed in terms of what people considered was a libertarian, or what people were willing to consider as a libertarian. I think right now we have more folks that are kind of libertarian leaning on the right and kind of libertarian leaning on the left, that are able to consider themselves to be libertarians. And I don't have a problem with that, as long as we're actively engaging them with libertarian philosophy and principles and making sure they come a little bit closer to the center.
Yeah, in my view, and I've only been part of the party since 2012, I think the party, that each side is always thinking the other side's taking over, which is a good thing, which means no one is. I mean, I have people who go, Larry, you got to fight the left in our party. The lib socks are taking over the party. And then the left part goes, and the Mises Caucus guys are running everything. I hear that like every other week. It's the other guy that's taking over the party, right? Or worse, the Prags are destroying the party. Or worse, the people, these radicals are destroying the party. Everyone's destroying the party. Everyone's taking over the party, yet no one seems to destroy or take over the party. So I think we're doing pretty good.
I think that I actually do have a problem with a lot of the caucuses that exist right now. I think that they are so, and this happens to normal members as well outside of caucus, but a lot of people are so focused on that dynamic of us versus them, like the socialists versus the capitalists and like all of that stuff within the Libertarian Party. And we're not actually moving ourselves forward as fast as we could if we worked together.
No, I agree. But I guess my point was, I don't think any of them are winning. But I do think the party has, I'm not sure if it's moved left, but I think it's not as right. I'm not sure if that's accurate, if I'm saying.
I think we're becoming better at messaging to the left.
Yes.
I don't think that we're actually necessarily any more left than we have been.
Yes.
But it's something that we drastically need to improve, especially in states like New York.
Yep.
And we're getting a lot better with that.
I agree. I think you've seen I've been trying my best to speak better to the left to the best of my ability. But it becomes hard, right? Because people from the right tend to come to us faster, but they also leave faster. People from the left come to us slower, but boy, they stay, and they become some of our best activists.
Well, I mean, that's because most voters, when they're making decisions, focus on economic issues. So for a Republican or for a conservative person, it's easier to get on board with our platform because you're already on board with our economic issues, which is what most voters think about when they vote. For Democrats, it's a little bit harder because for the most part, they don't agree with our stances on financial issues. And so that's, I think, where that dynamic comes in. But once you change someone's mind on that, of course, they're going to stay.
Yeah, I do see that often. It's a whole different issue. So I don't think we've moved left. I just think we're not seen as right, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. It's something that we got to improve. I mean, we have you had Thomas Queter on your show. I'm
Mhm.
looking to start working for his campaign a bit, and he's running against one-on-one versus a Republican. We have to be able to message to the left in that district. Otherwise, we're not picking up any votes. But if we
Absolutely.
can message to the left, we can pick up 25% that's just there as a block, and that's a way to solve some short-term funding issues and that sort of thing. So
100%.
it's certainly something that we need to work on as a party if we want to be able to run competitive campaigns.
Excellent. So, Tucker, is there anything you want to talk about or bring up?
I don't know. I'm just along for the ride. I talked about everything I wanted to in terms of where I want to take the party and the region. I just want to make sure that we focus on winning campaigns because ultimately that's why I think we have a party.
I'm with you 100%. And even Tim says, and Team Larry and down ballot support. And I am in.
That's including Tim.
That's including Tim. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I agree with you completely. I'm all about down ballot, right? I know some people were upset that I dropped out of the VP race, but one of the reasons why I dropped out of the VP race is, if I'm going to take 6 months out of my life and run this way, because when I run, Tucker, you were there, I don't do anything except run.
Yeah.
That's all I do. I shut down my life and I just run. And the plan that the judge and I had, I thought was a great down ticket plan. And I was prepared to sacrifice 6 months to get the down ticket up. But when a judge got the boot, I thought, okay, I'll just focus more on New York and other down ballot candidates, and I'll still get what I want a different way, right? A different way. I'll spend my time getting down ballot a different way. As some of you've seen, I do stuff like this all the time, right? Trying to help out down ballot candidates. So I completely agree. Thank you for that, Tim. I appreciate it. I'm glad, Tucker, you're talking about down ballot.
I mean, down ballot is, or if you want to call it down ballot, I actually I worked for Ken Armstrong. Yep. His way of phrasing it was down ticket. Because it's not, those are the races that are most important on your ballot. They're not, I don't want us to perceive them as less important by calling them down ballot. I agree with that. I think there needs to be a little bit more work on the wording, but I agree with the concept.
How about we just go local races? How about that?
Yeah, local. My focus is on, there we go. This is why people collaborate.
That's it.
My focus is definitely on local candidates.
Yep.
And making sure that we're able to run competitive races there. But we also do need to realize that a lot of the larger races are ballot access races, especially in Region 8. So, for example, in New Hampshire, we have the Justin O'Donnell running for U.S. Senate. Our race was a ballot access race. Yep. So those larger candidates, we also need to figure out a way to make sure that they're able to run competitive enough campaigns so that we can secure ballot access.
Right.
And that helps those lower local candidates. So obviously, if we run more competitive local candidates, that'll drive votes up the ticket as well. But we still need to make sure that our larger candidates are able to run competitive enough.
But I'm going to bring up something that most people don't always get. We talk about votes when it comes to local. I'm not just talking about votes when it comes to local. I'm talking about culture change. Right? I mean, the average person who hears a party, Libertarian, Green, Republican, Democrat, immediately has a visceral reaction to that, right? Those people are, and they have in their mind whatever those people are, right? The other, right? They have that mindset. So when it comes to a national, it's difficult. But when it comes to even statewide, difficult. But local, it's not that guy. It's Tucker. No, I know Tucker. Oh, he's not one of them. He's Tucker. So I'll vote for Tucker because even though his other people that like him are crazy, but he's not, so I'll vote for him. So now when they vote for you, they go, oh, these libertarians, they're not crazy. They're like Tucker. Oh, okay. And then the next guy, a gal gets it. The next person then gets it. The next person gets it. So I'm all about changing the culture. And I think local races change the culture.
100%. Hadn't thought of it that way, but I completely agree.
Yes, and then when the culture begins to change, then they're going to hear, right, the person who runs at the national level or at the state level, where many times they just won't hear that person. They won't hear them. I can't hear Larry Sharpe. He doesn't have an RD by his name, right? I can't hear him. But then all of a sudden, oh, is he the same party that Tucker guy? Oh, he's like Tucker. Oh, I like Tucker. Let's listen to Larry Sharpe. And I think that's how we make this happen. It's another reason why I love it. the more local races we win, the better chance we have of winning the big game.
Yeah, we're never going to go straight from 0 to 100. It's not
Absolutely, 100%. All right, Tucker. I guess we're done for the evening. If you're
Okay.
okay, I'm okay. Are you good?
Yeah, I'm all set. Thank you
All right,
very much
guys.
for having me on. Still
Yep.
have my coffee. Haven't finished it yet, so
I haven't either.
healthy decision.
I will be up all night now, thanks to you. That's fine. No
You're
worries.
welcome.
Yes, exactly. It's Saturday and I'll hang out with my daughters or something. We'll do something.
Yeah,
We'll watch some cool YouTube videos, whatever. So anyway, thank you guys, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it. I hope this was opened your mind, made you think differently about us. Region 8, Tucker Coburn. Please enjoy. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you.